Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. These 20-minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world, speaking about the hottest topics in the industry, are scheduled twice monthly. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them, and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of this episode. Artificial intelligence, and particularly its hottest name brand, ChatGPT, have created an incredible buzz across a number of industries in recent months, including performance marketing. How are marketers using the technology already? Are there any key success stories? And what should those in the D2C marketing world be wary of when first utilizing the technology? As always, PDMI Brand Response Council Chair and Take 20 host Chris Foster of Modern Postcard is here, and today he welcomes a trio of leaders from the creative and media space: Urban Legends Jack Barrett, Tatari's Vicky Chang, and Envision Response's Sean Fay for a conversation about one of 2023's hottest topics. Welcome, team. Take it away.
Thomas, thank you so much, and welcome in everybody. June is almost approaching and getting into the good days of summer and getting into this fantastic discussion of AI and ChatGPT. So the news is replete how ChatGPT and AI technologies are changing the landscape of school and communications, and even across the business landscape. And there are recent stories that have emerged about how the godfather of AI and other industry leaders are signaling alarms about the dangers of rapid AI advances, even while they're promoting their own development. In fact, a side note, if anyone subscribes to the New York Times, they have a fantastic audio interview with the godfather of AI and some of the things that he was talking about as a note. And on May 17th, there were congressional hearings with leaders in the space. So you can tell that this is actually burgeoning up to be, I should say, bubbling up to be a burgeoning topic that people are very concerned about, even at the highest levels of regulation, perhaps. And of course, marketers are testing this technology. This years ago, the Toyota Mirai had actually worked on an AI-driven campaign to do multivariate testing with messaging on some of their display ads. And now, that was even before ChatGPT had made it easier to generate new copywriting ideas and the like. And it's becoming part of the discussion. And I'm guaranteeing that every single person, not only on this panel, but who's in the conversation right now, listening and watching from their offices, has had this conversation in your office. Of course you have. So the question is, what does this mean for direct response? How are advertisers and brands and creatives taking advantage of AI technology while also trying to avoid the pitfalls of over-reliance? So we're going to get into this conversation. And Sean, I'm going to start with you. Are you currently using AI and ChatGPT? And if so, how?
Okay, thanks. Thanks for having me as part of the panel and having me back. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the setup. Yes, we are definitely at Envision Response. We're using AI and ChatGPT to do some of our work. We're very transparent about that. That's really important. It started out working with a really cool application called Jarvis, which is a content generator. I learned about it at a digital marketing conference several years ago, and it was employing the OpenAI framework prior to OpenAI kind of launching last November. And it was pretty cool. It would help with idea generation and things like that. But once ChatGPT launched, I was an early adopter of it, as I have been with a lot of stuff. I had a Newton, by the way, an Apple Newton, which is pretty cool. But I delved right in. I liked the technology, and one of our first early use cases was, as I started researching, articles on how to use it, and I went down the rabbit hole. I had a lot of fun with it. Was organizing information and brainstorming. So Envision Response is a marketing agency, but we also do a lot of content creation, and we had an RFP for a large institutional client for a 4-year project, millions of dollars at stake, and we were up with a number of agencies. And the RFP was, like 30, 40 pages long, and it took a lot of effort from, maybe 7 or 8 members of our team. the way we use ChatGPT is that we took each inquiry on the RFP. We sat as a team and we wrote down all of our ideas, our original, innovative thinking, the original creativity, the sacred part of what we offer the AI. And then we put those ideas on paper, and then we use the ChatGPT to help organize those ideas in a structured response. And so it basically helps us with kind of some editing. That was really how we did it. It also structured the ideas which came jumbled and put them in kind of and it was able to allow us to answer all of those questions in a timely manner. It took, say, maybe a month. And we ended up winning the bid, but a big part of that was just that sacred input that we gave it, the analysis and organization that the AI did, and then us going back and modifying the responses to be just right. So they were really bespoke for our unique experience in critical thinking. So, and that was a great use, and it worked, and it had a nice outcome. So, yeah.
That's a marvelous example, Sean. And what I love about those phrases that you use is that sacred humanity, and then the pairing of the tool to do its job well, right? The tool of its job is to look at all of those fantastic ideas and say, let me organize these in a way so that it's a little bit more structured and the transitions are smooth, because I can do that as an outside tool, and then I'll give it back to you, and then you polish and finesse it to make sure that the voice of your brand carries through even in that RFP. That's a beautiful use case of the pairing, and it's not necessarily, it's creative. Yes, it's creative. It's not customer facing creative in terms of an advertising channel, but it's still creative work, even if it moves your own business forward. Jack, what about you in terms of any customer facing creative? Is this something that you've tried yet?
Definitely have tried it, and I use it very much kind of the way Sean pointed out, which is idea generation and brainstorming. And it's been, I'll be honest, it's just been very helpful. I'm working on a TV campaign right now, and it's every writer gets writer's block. You get thinking one way, and it's really hard to get out of that. And going for a walk doesn't always help. Or beating yourself up, it doesn't seem to help either. So I've been using it that way quite a bit. And I think, I've just scratched the surface. I'm not really using it to the full capability, and I'm not sure I want to do that just yet. But I've had some really good success with just kind of coming up with areas where I get stuck, where I don't know what to say, and and sometimes it's just a kernel of a word or an idea or a metaphor that then I can move forward with. For example, one of the commercial concepts I'm writing at right now takes place on a golf course, and I'm not a big golfer. I know a little bit, but not a lot. And so I was able to one of the scenes I wanted to try as a blocking technique, having somebody, while they're talking, sort of line up their shot. So I typed in just a Google search, what are the kind of funny things that people do to line up a putt? I was thinking, throw grass in the air, all these kind of things. And then I did the same thing into ChatGPT. And of course, the Google search just gave me clubs and all sorts of things that it was a lot of noise. And the AI engine gave me some really clever ideas, and which I was able to filter through. So, and most of those inspired new ideas. So, so I think risks too, but I don't think it's a replacement for creativity for us yet, but it's certainly a tool for creativity.
I love that idea, the tool for creativity, and two items that come out of that. One is, this is not this discussion, but maybe ChatGPT is the future of searching instead of Google because of the types of information it gives you. The other thing was, it reminded me of that Roy, I think it was Roy Rogers, where he said, writing is easy. You just stare at a blank sheet of paper until drops of blood appear on your forehead, right? So this is where, ChatGPT can help in terms of kind of unclogging some of the mental blocks we might have, because everyone has a start of an idea, but you're right, it's those second and third steps that sometimes we get hung up on. Wonderful example. Vicky, do tell, what are some of the conversations, and have you and or your teammates tried using ChatGPT or AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us at Tatari, it's a little different because we're building machine learning, and so a lot of our media plans and how we're building them and how we're optimizing the media plans is backed by machine learning. So that's kind of, I guess, how we would be using AI. So a lot of it is, you know, looking back at systems and looking at historical rates and looking at performance and merging all the data. So it's all doing it, you know, automatically with machine learning. So it's definitely been helpful for me and my team because, you know, we can obviously do a lot more media plans quicker, whereas, you know, back in the day it used to take hours, and, you know, we're able to do those things in, you know, a few minutes now. You know, obviously it is just a starting point, so it's not, you know, it's not like it's, you know, you plug it in and you get 100% the product that you're looking for, but it's certainly helpful in the ideas, you know, with networks, for example, or specific shows or things that, you know, you may not think of, and oftentimes requires a lot of TV industry knowledge as a media buyer planner to start like putting those things together. But now you can use machine learning and basically, you know, it'll come up with networks and day parts and ideas and shows and things to kind of put in your media plan. So it's very helpful in that way, because it just, things that used to take so much time, you know, don't anymore. And you know, back in the day when you're calling network reps and, you know, trying to get avails and, you know, all that kind of stuff, like you don't have to do that anymore, right? And then trying to tie that back into like an Excel sheet or something to evaluate performance, you know, by the time you're done, it's like the opportunity is already passed. So, you know, that's been really helpful for me and my team.
That's wonderful, Vicky. And I guess if you don't mind, I'd like to stay on with you about that, because one of the things that we love automation for is to take up the administrative time that sometimes you just have to do, right? You have to do this admin time as part of the work, but it's not necessarily full value add, right? It might be helpful learning curve for young employees, right? And someone who's in their 20s and 30s says, well, you know, you gotta pay your dues by, here's a crap ton of admin work, have fun, I'll see you in 4 hours, right? And you learn how to the business through that. But now that some of these automated processes can take that work away, a couple of things. A, hopefully it frees up time for more creative and real knowledge work. But B, it also might change, you know, the organization in terms of what an individual worker does or doesn't do. Are you seeing some of those changes now within your team in terms of the use of your time for your team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of those, you know, tedious tasks like logs and, you know, those kind of things like avails and rates, and like I said, evaluating that for a human, I mean, it's just going to be stronger when it's done by AI or done by algorithms, right? So, you know, that really takes saves a lot of time. And also, I mean, a human you're going to miss in media planning, right? You're going to miss, you know, the 250 set of networks, right? And then you got streaming options, and there's all these options. A human can't evaluate all that, you know, quickly. And so AI is able to do that for you. And obviously, as more streaming comes on board, like there's just no way for one person to be able to know everything that's available out there. And so that's, you know, really what machine learning and AI has helped do, is that you have all the options now, right? So a media buyer doesn't have to spend time to kind of like get that database, I guess, so to speak, of networks and options, and, you know, they're able to see everything all at once, and they're able to see what you know they should be paying, like what they think clearance will be, and what the predicted performance is going to be, so they can see it all in one, you know, one platform essentially. And that just really takes a lot of the guesswork, and it also takes a lot of the you know, kind of judgment-based marketing decisions. It's all data-based, right? Instead of somebody sitting at a desk deciding if they think it's a good idea or not. It's all backed by data, right? So you're kind of taking that element out of it. and making it more data driven, right? Which is obviously very important in performance marketing.
Well, you know, what's interesting too is that the data-driven decisions in the, especially in the digital space, has been there for a while, and the data-driven decisions coming into performance is becoming a bigger piece of it, right? You know, gone are the heartstring decision making, but more like this is what the data reveals, and this is how it informs our decision making. Now, on the surface, you'd think that would be best for brands, advertisers, media companies as well, because you're still optimizing for performance, but optimizing in a way that the data is calculated, not optimized based on judgment or quote unquote experience, or if someone has a bad day. I think that it's interesting how it can change the industry like that. And that's clearly an advantage, right, for some of the AI and the artificial intelligence in direct response. Sean, I guess what I would ask you is on the creative side, where do you see the advantages perhaps with multivariate testing or prompts and et cetera, and how do you use that for your clients? And you mentioned earlier, you're really transparent about when and where you use it. How do you see the greatest advantage for creative?
Great question, thank you. I liked a lot of what Jack was saying in terms of using it to come up with ideas, and sometimes those ideas can be, we might start with a couple of concepts, or we might have a concept, and what we want to do is get all of the obvious ideas out of the way. So we'll use the AI to help us generate a whole bunch of ideas, and then, as Jack had mentioned, and I agree because we use it this way, it might inspire another idea off of that. So it could be with concepts. When you're talking about multivariate testing, one great use of the AI is developing content for your various social media platforms. And so you might have an idea, a strategy of a promotion, or even a new hook for how you want to promote your product or brand, and you might start down the road of this is what I think it should be. This is like sort of the positioning that we want. This is the it's personality driven, or it could be promotion driven, or it could be one feature, one aspect of the product driven, it could be one demo driven. So you start with that kind of marketing platform, and then you can ask the AI to come out with some alternate ways to promote it, and then you can A/B test those in social, maybe before you even get to a point where you create a spot. So you can find out which of those is most effective. So that's another way. One thing that we haven't chatted about much is that the prompt, it's called prompt engineering, but the way that you write the prompts is really important, and that requires kind of becoming a little bit educated about how ChatGPT works, and understanding that the more specific you are in the prompting, it makes a big difference. And I'm specifically referring to ChatGPT. There's lots of other platforms, and machine learning and AI is a much bigger thing. I mean, this is just one tool, but what it's capable of can be turned into lots of other software products, like as Vicky said from Tatari. There's obviously whole other platforms and whole other ways of using and analyzing data other than just from the creative standpoint. But as a pure tool, just having that chatbot of ChatGPT, prompt engineering and testing out different things so that you can get a lot of the obvious stuff out of the way, and then start kind of drilling down to things that are more unique, especially as you're considering your empathy customer, their experience, whatever that is unique about it. You can add that part, and then it can try and help you expand from that.
That's a great answer. And one of the things that I've seen talking about both the creative and the software, my Grammarly just set an update where the Grammarly is now adding some AI to help fill in some of the blanks, right, to get started. And also, if anyone's familiar with the website builder platform Wix, they put an AI in there so that you can actually build a website on an industry with a handful of phrases, and suddenly the AI, artificial intelligence, builds a website. It's pretty close in terms of imagery, in terms of text. It writes headlines for you that you can go in and edit. So it kind of helps the platform set you up so that, usually human beings, generally, most of us are better editors rather than creators. And so the idea of having something to do that initial generation of the idea can make sense. I guess, what I will have, we're already moving very quickly on this. There are some real practical examples that I'd love everybody to share. I have one, and I'll go last. But so Jack, if you've got another specific example, because gosh, it's already 11:20, we've just got one kind of quick roundtable about this. Either A, an example, or B, Jack, if you're advising a client, right, and they said, Jack, what should I do with AI? What should I do with ChatGPT? What's your answer? What do you tell them?
Well, I think the first part is that asking what should I do is great, because it's unavoidable now at this point. And so I think what you should do is figure out. So I think I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence isn't a replacement for creativity. It's a tool. So what you need to do is figure out how you're going to use the tool. So you got to figure out how you integrate that into your business and what degree you want that to play a role in your business, because I think we got to be careful of not becoming too lazy also. We can't just type stuff in and get it back. We got to be critical about what we get. And like Sean said, I think the new role in your business, will have a new title, and whatever your title is will be /prompt writer or /editor. So I think incorporating that skill. So copywriter needs to also be a prompt engineer, and then an editor, and right down the line with every aspect, I think, in your industry.
I agree with you that the further siloing of various channels and specialists, there will be someone specifically as a prompt engineer in chat and AI. I love it. Vicky, someone asks you, one of your clients or colleagues says, how are we going to, besides what you've already mentioned with the artificial intelligence for the media bit, what's your answer to them?
I mean, I think it's to embrace it and to really test and learn about it, right? And so it's definitely something that we can't avoid, like Jack was saying. And I think it's just more about how do you want to use it, and start testing it and seeing because it's not a full solution, right? We've done a little bit of testing here, just as a person too, and just typing in things and seeing what it spits out. And sometimes it's a little bit more accurate than you expected, and sometimes it's pretty far off, right? So I think it's seeing what you can use it for and what you can't. I think there's some things that if you prompt it, it's gives you an answer that probably is pretty off. But then there's some really helpful things, just for fun, I typed in what can you predict the best NFL games, sports matchups, and what's going to have the highest viewership, for the next season, just to see what it would spit out, right? And so, bullet points, it's correct, but obviously there's a lot more work and a lot more analysis that we do and would need to be done, right, in order to actually come up with the best matchups for, NFL season, for example. But on a high level, it's interesting, right? On a high level, it bullet pointed out probably the type of analysis that we would be doing, but in terms of the granular, which actual matchups, there's a lot more work that needs to be done there. But it's interesting, and I think it is an idea generator, and I think it's a starting point, right? And maybe there's some things that maybe you didn't think of, a bullet point here or there, that you might look into. But it's fun to use. I would say lean into it, right? Test and learn about it, and just figure out how you can incorporate this and what are the best uses for it.
I think that is such a clever example, Vicky, of trying to figure out which matchups are going to have the highest viewers based on, other records, because all of the data of all the games of all the teams are already in there, right? I mean, and they come up with already, a lot of predictions for sports matches. I love that. Using the tool, embracing, testing, and learning. Sean, any parting last kernels of wisdom? Because it's already 11:26. You get the final say.
It's really you got to use your imagination. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Ooh. What is the answer you're seeking for? You're looking for? Who out there might be? If you could talk to the greatest expert in the world about a subject, who would it be? And then what do you want the outcome of your inquiry to be? And the more definition you can provide around those things, the better your response. And so that's really key.
I love it. That's very hands-on, practical stuff. This is a freaking first-class panel. We could be here all day with this, but it's already 11:25, 11:27. Look at us roll. So we're going to open it up the floor to some of the questions that are out there. Thomas, I'll bring you back in and see if anyone's got some questions for the team.
Yeah, I got a few interesting ones. We'll try to get to as many as we can in the next couple minutes. First, have you ever experienced errors in information from an AI search? And if so, how did you identify the error?
I could jump in real quick. I've actually had it. I mean, this is really important for people to know, but you've got to double check what the responses are. I asked it to do a financial model for me for a business, a pro forma, at a certain growth rate per month, and it actually messed up the math, which is one thing you wouldn't think that it would do, but it does. It's not always accurate and things like that. So it's not a reason to throw it all out, but it admits there are certain things that it can screw up. It gets confused depending on how complex it can get confused. So yeah, there are some definitely errors, and it also can repeat itself. I've noticed that sometimes.
Excellent.
Great, thanks, Sean. There's one for Vicky. Has using machine learning AI for planning based on clearance and what to pay, have you noticed an improvement in clearance for buys based on AI versus human analysis?
Yes, for sure. Yes, definitely. There's been an improvement, and I think that just the speed and the time used, by my team to do that. In the past, I've had whole departments doing that, just kind of like clearance analysis, and we don't need to do that anymore. I would say the one thing, of course, there are going to be some anomalies, right? There might be breaking news, or like an Olympic cycle, or some news cycle that might be a little different, and that is where a human does need to kind of come in sometimes, at least for now. I think as the data builds and as there's more data, it will probably get better, but there's some of those things that you have to account for, like that humans need to kind of go in and account for.
That's great, good thoughts. One more, any recommendations on a tool to help improve your prompt writing?
Jack?
There are even courses you can take, I think, on that. I think, is it pronounced Udemy? I was just looking at a couple of those. So and you can, so it's almost like templates now. You know how you buy a Photoshop template, or you see After Effects or some sort of template, you can buy also prompts. You can buy pre-written prompts. So there's lots of resources out there for prompt writing. But and again, that can be used as a tool too. You don't always have to use it, but it can just sort of inspire you. And that's what I would recommend is still using your own brain to kind of drive things, but use templates and prompts to help refine what you're looking for.
What I love about this is that it creates an entire new industry, right? When the iPhone came out, an entire industry of app developers spun around that. So while Vicky might note, hey, we don't need entire departments to do this. However, on the flip side, there's more employment opportunity and for other types of things that are going to spin around ChatGPT. My one final example, and I'll leave it off before we go, is I met somebody at a trade show a couple weeks ago, And he said, I have my entire business, and it was developed and it's marketed by AI and ChatGPT. So he showed me, he was doing a duffel bag, and the duffel bags, he said, all I did was go to ChatGPT and ask it to pull up all of the flags from Africa and combine the colors and designs and patterns from all these African flags to create new patterns that I could put on these duffel bags. Shipped it off to, you know, Print-A-V or whatever that was to print the patterns on the duffel bags. And then he asked ChatGPT to write his Facebook ads for him, promoting this new brand. He did jack zero, and he created an entire new business in a day using ChatGPT. Just had the idea of it. And the fulfillment partners were able to handle some of the logistics of it, but the creation and the ideation of it and the execution of it was done within a day, and he built a brand new business over the weekend.
Crazy.
It's amazing. But I think we're at 11:30, Thomas. I think we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we are. We have a couple other extra questions, but we can try to filter those out to the group afterwards. Really great stuff, everybody. Thank you all for being here and taking part, each bringing your own interesting and different viewpoints. So we appreciate that. For the audience, your next scheduled opportunity to attend a live online PDMI event is actually tomorrow, as the PDMI's Workshop Council presents a 1-hour spring seminar series roundtable about CTV media growth in Canada. Please visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-spring-seminar-series for more information and to register. Our next Take 20 episode is Wednesday, June 14th, when members of our PDMI councils share their top book tips as part of the PDMI's summer reading list. This was a really popular event last year, and we're bringing it back here in 2 weeks. Visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for this webinar and check out our upcoming schedule. Finally, a reminder that registration is open for PDMI West, October 9th through 11th. For the past 2 months, we've offered a special early bird registration rate, $100 off the regular online presale price of each badge, but that rate expires at the end of the day today. Don't hesitate. Badge holders also will get the first opportunity to book their hotel rooms in our discounted block at the event's new host, the luxurious Intercontinental San Diego. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-West for more information and to grab your badge today. Again, thanks for checking out this episode of PDMI's Take 20. Be well. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.